Hi, I'm Andrew Perry, and this is the Year of Opportunity. This episode is about how the city divvies up those funds in order to give us the services that we provide every day. To help explain how the city uses its funds, we have Justine Menzel, who's the finance officer for the city of Artesia.
My name's Justine Menzel, and welcome to this week's segment in the Mayor's Year of Opportunity 2012, which will focus on the city of Artesia's finances. In this information videography, the viewer will see the general and restricted fund resources and how those funds are allocated for daily operations and improvements of the city's infrastructure. When government talks about general fund, they refer to those resources that are not required to be accounted for in a restricted fund. The City Council in Artesia's local government uses discretionary authority to designate use of monies for the goal of promoting, protecting, and regulating the city of Artesia as an urban, living, working, and visitor destination. The city staff uses forecasting and other measurements for estimating funds that will be received during the entire fiscal year, which is July 1 of one year to June 30 of the following year. It can be compared to estimating what your personal income will be during a calendar year for income tax or other purposes. In the first chart displayed right now, there is a pie chart for the current fiscal year forecast revenues. Those are monies flowing into the city. For simplicity and generalization, staff has taken the pie, the whole, and categorized it into 4 slices. The whole pie estimates about $7.1 million in revenue. The first big slice, which is blue, equals about 44% of the city's income through locally levied taxes. What makes up these locally levied taxes? In Artesia, some examples include sales tax, county pool of property tax distribution called no-low property tax, business license, Measure B, and TOT, otherwise known as transit occupancy tax. Other names may be known as hotel-motel bed tax. See that red slice? This is 33% of other revenues that are raised locally and considered a special benefit, thereby requiring only the user of this special benefit to pay the cost recovery fee. There are many examples of these cost recovery fees. In Artesia, to name a few, we have industrial waste fee inspection, which are incurred by a business operator, building and safety permits, residential trash service, fines, recreation and facility use fees, franchise fees on utility providers, and interest earned on money in the bank. The yellow piece of the pie represents 21% of the revenue this year for state subventions. State subventions are a type of financial support provided by one level of government to another. Examples of these for Artesia include a very minimal share of the vehicle license fee and then the property tax in lieu of vehicle license fees. We find the smallest sliver of the pie is 2%. The 2% is from transfers of restricted funds, which I will talk about a little later, which are moved over to the general funds that are usually one-time or limited over a period of time for funding special purposes allowable of the general fund. This year's transfers include the Billboard Fund and the Proposition A Park Improvement Fund. When the City Council looks at this estimate of forecast revenue for a fiscal year, they are ready to allocate services that are commensurate with policy and prudent consideration of fiscal management. The next slide will show the pie chart of current fiscal year forecast expenses. Fiscal year forecast expenditures, those are the monies expected to flow out of the city. And again, for simplicity and generalization, staff has taken the pie, the whole amount, and categorized into 4 slices. The whole pie estimates $7.1 million in expenses. The largest and 49% of expenses are related to general government. In summary, general government is everything else that is not parks and recreation, public works, or public safety in operational terms. Administratively, general government allocates many varieties of costs for support services these other departments require. General government makes up the following categories: city council, city attorney, city manager, community promotion, general operations, personnel, business license, city clerk treasurer, finance, planning and planning commission, building and safety services. All of these services originate from the City Hall facility. In lighter blue of the same chart, 39% of general funds are set aside for public safety activities. 35% alone represents the contract value for Los Angeles County Sheriff. The remaining 4% goes to other miscellaneous public safety, such as crossing guard services, code enforcement, prosecution of municipal codes attorney, school star education, animal control, and disaster preparedness. This year's park and recreation expenditures take the red slice of pie at 7%, with a matching this year of $15,000 for the community center air conditioning replacement. The 2 staffed parks are A.J. Paddleford Park off 169th in Clarkdale and Artesia Park at Clarkdale and South Street. Finishing off the last category of expenses is Public Works. Public Works, with shared funding from other funds, is the smallest slice of general fund at 5%. The work from this small crew covers the entire city, from building, facilities maintenance, park maintenance, to street maintenance. Engineering fees normally attributed to this category have been applied to most of the restricted projects in progress over the past few years. The final visual touches on what is known as restricted funds. Restricted funds are revenues received for a specific purpose by the grantor. The revenues and expenses typically cancel each other out in 1 year or during a specific period of time. All but the following restricted funds get apportioned out to the local jurisdiction from the state of California, either directly or through the County of Los Angeles or one of its many agencies. Those specially negotiated or locally implemented restricted funds include billboard and street light maintenance district sources. The billboard revenue, allowed through state legislation, provides the means for the city to grant advertising on a city billboard with revenues coming in for at-risk youth programs. The Street Light Maintenance District assesses property owners of commercial and residential parcels in the city a specified formula each year to offset the cost of operating street lights. Looking at the chart, to understand more about the specific purpose of the other funds, we will begin at the top of the chart. Measure R funds provide for the transportation, planning, and engineering for capital street improvements. Most recently, it has been approved for eligible expenses to the downtown parking lot improvement plan. The next item you see is a Safe Route to School Fund. This is a competitive grant which has assisted with the continuance of the community outreach of the Public Safety Expo and Youth Safety Day each year. In addition, this final year of the grant continues outreach into Artesia schools for children on street safety, for walking and bicycling to school and beyond. The third item down is the COPS, or Citizens Options for Public Safety. This is a budget item from the state to assist other governments with supplemental law enforcement funds. Artesia uses this for the additional deputy on patrol for motorist violations. Billboard is right below that. I've discussed that and the one following, which is the Streetlight Maintenance District. And now we come to California Beverage Recycling. This is another grant secured and awarded by the state to assist the city in their recycling efforts and the community outreach. Below that, there's the Department of Transportation. This is a pass-through agency on behalf of award by federal Congresswoman Sanchez to the city for street and signal improvements. Sometimes these funds have matching amounts required also. Next is the South Coast Air Quality Management District, also known as SCAQMD. This provides an annual allocation paid over 4 quarters. This special allocation assists the city's needs with meeting new or existing plans for air quality standards. Over the past few years, the money received was saved and now has fully purchased 2 hybrid vehicles for city staff to use with official duties. One is the Ford Escape, and the latest is the Ford Fusion. Following the SCAQMD, there is Prop C Transportation, and I'm going to go further down on the chart and pick up Prop A Transportation. These funds cover areas of the budget pertaining to salaries for administration and vehicle maintenance of those vehicles purchased with those funds. The Dial Ride for seniors and the Park and Recreation Transportation utilizes buses for activities that take place outside of the park. In January, the city replaced 2 vans from 1992 with 2 new Dodge vans for city staff use with official duties. Proposition C further supports street improvements by funding for traffic marking and striping, median maintenance, and traffic synchronization. Sometimes this fund will match for capital improvement projects for eligible street or sidewalk projects undertaken. Now, the one that I skipped on the chart to your left is Prop A Park Improvements. That's just under the Prop C Transportation item. This is a residual maintenance and servicing fund for expenses incurred after a project was funded using these competitive grants. For example, a petition wall in the community center was purchased with these funds. Now, for a specified number of years after, with funds available, the city can draw a reimbursement down for expenses on the upkeep of the petition wall that were not in place prior to the specific petition wall installed. Next is the TDA Bicycle Pedestrian Restricted Funds. Previous projects completed were for sidewalk and curb gutter improvements. Monies are on reserve with the county until an eligible plan is approved, for the release of the funds. The LACMTA, Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, these funds are another pass-through by competitive application to build the South Street Pedestrian Bikeway and Transit Improvement Project between the eastern and western city limits. This project, you might find, is still ongoing. Concluding with the gas tax resource and the STPL, federal STPL, these funds share a portion of salaries for general government and public works. Primarily, however, the funds assist the city in street repairs, the entire street sweeping contract, traffic marking and striping, traffic signal energy and maintenance, street tree maintenance, curb, gutter, sidewalk repair, and streets and alleys. This fund also provides the matching dollars for capital improvement projects like the service road or alley, or even the South Street project, and the matching for the Department of Transportation Street and Signal Improvements project. Well, this wraps up the resources and how they are allocated for daily operations and improvements to an aging infrastructure. There is a ton of information being recorded, classified, and reported to the City Council on a monthly basis and through various financial audits throughout the year. We invite the public to take advantage of the transparency of their local government and participate in the public meetings and events for insight, input, and enjoyment. And as we close for the information on this week's programming, there is still one looming dark cloud facing the 2011-12 budget for the end of the year. This dark cloud is the dissolution of the Artesia Redevelopment Agency and the budget that was in place for these funds through June 30, 2012. Although there is no plan to cut existing services or personnel further, we know that the small strides made last fiscal year will help offset the imbalance that is expected by fiscal year end 2012. In addition, this will be the leading factor in planning for the 2012-13 fiscal year budget. The first budget study is scheduled for 6 p.m. on May 30, 2012 in the City Council chambers. May the force of fiscal clarity be with us. Thank you for tuning in to our feature in the Mayor's Year of Opportunity 2012, and good night.